பாராளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர்களுக்கும் அனைத்து தமிழ் உறவுகளுக்கும் எனது பணிவான சிரம் தாழ்த்திய வணக்கங்கள். இன்று நாம் தமிழ் மொழியின் மகிமையை பற்றி எடுத்து சொல்ல வந்துள்ளோம். தமிழ் மொழி புலமையான மொழி. ஆயிரம் ஆண்டுகளுக்கு முன் தோன்றி இன்று வரை 78 கோடி மக்களால் பாவிக்கப்படும் நவீன மொழி என்று கூறுகிறது ஆய்வு. இனி தொடர்வது முத்தமிழ் கதம்பம்.
ஆயம்நித்திலன் முத்தமிழ் கதம்பம் இயல் இசை நாடகம் என்று மூன்றும் அடங்கிய இனிய மொழி தமிழ் மொழி. I will now explain the three most important components of the Tamil language: prose, music, and drama. Here is Nayandan to say about prose.
I am Nayandan. இயல் என்னும் தமிழ் இயல்பாக பேசுவதும் எழுதுவதும் ஆகும். That means prose. Which is spoken and written language. Now I welcome Teshmita to recite Tirukural.
திருக்குறள் முயற்சி திருவினையாக்கும், முயற்சின்மை என்மை புகுத்திவிடும். அன்பிலார் எல்லாம் தமக்குரியர், அன்புடையார் என்பும் உரியர் இருக்கு. கற்க கசடர கற்பவை கற்றபின் நிற்க அதற்கு தக. பெருக்கத்து வேண்டும் கணிதல், சிறிய சுருக்கத்து வேண்டும் உயர்வு. நன்றி.
இசை தமிழ் என்பது இசை பாடல்களை குறிக்கும். இவை உள்ளத்தை உருக வைக்கும். தமிழர் தமது வாழ்க்கை முறையை இசையுடன் இணைத்துக் கொண்டார்கள். I will now give a short translation. Music. Vocal and instrumental sounds combine together to produce harmony and expression of emotion. Now I welcome Sahana to entertain with her music, followed by Anushka.
அமுலே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிலே. அமுலே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிலே. சுகம் பலத்தரும் தமிழ்ப்பா, சுகம் பலத்தரும் தமிழ்ப்பா. சுவையான கவிதைகள் தா, சுவையான கவிதைகள் தா. தமிழே நான் நீ பாடு, தமிழே நான் நீ பாடு. அமுலே தமிழே
எனதுயிரே சுகம் பல தரும் தமிழ் பா சுகம் பல தரும் தமிழ் பா சுவையோடு கவிதைகள் தான் சுவையோடு கவிதைகள் தான் தமிழே நானும் நீ பாடு தமிழே நானும் நீ பாடு அமலே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே.
I am myself, நாடகம். பேச்சு, நடிப்பு, இசை என்பவற்றை இணைத்து கூடுவது நாடகம் ஆகும். உலகமே ஒரு நாடக மேடை என்றார் ஷேக்ஸ்பியர். நாடகம் என்பது இயல், இசை மற்றும் உடல் அசைவுகளை அடிப்படை.
Everybody, and I'm delighted not to be singing and dancing for you or having not to follow that. So thank you very much for having me. I'd just like to begin by wishing every single person here, watching in the UK and around the world, a very, very happy Pongal celebration this year. This is a time for reflection, to come together and give thanks for the bountiful harvest, to come together as families and as a community, and also to give hope for the year ahead. But it is also a time for us to think. And as chair of the all-party parliamentary group for Tamils in the UK Parliament, I want to reiterate my commitment and the commitment of all of my colleagues in the UK Parliament that we will continue to stand up for the rights and for the peace and the justice and the accountability that has been denied to the Tamil people for far too long by the Sri Lankan government. It is time for the British government to do what other governments have done and to sanction those credibly accused of war crimes, and we have already done a lot in this space. So I encourage you to continue engaging with members of Parliament to ensure that we can achieve that justice and that accountability that the Tamil community has been waiting for far too long. However, on a more positive note, this month does mark Tamil Heritage Month. And one of the things that I really want to pick out and to pay tribute to is the contribution of the Tamil community to British society. We've heard so much already about the contribution of Tamils in our NHS, to our vaccination programme, and particularly throughout the pandemic. But I want to single out the vaccination programme in particular, because we would not have a vaccine today, we would not be out of lockdown today, if it wasn't for the fact that it was a Tamil scientist who was part of the team at Oxford who discovered the AstraZeneca vaccine. That contribution cannot be understated, and we know how valuable the Tamil community is to the UK. And I want to thank you and pray that you continue to do all of everything that you are doing for our great country, and I give you my assurance that we as parliamentarians will continue doing all we can to stand up for accountability and justice for Tamils in Sri Lanka and around the world. So thank you again for inviting me. Can we have another round of applause for the incredible entertainment that we had tonight? And I wish all of you all the very best for the year ahead. Nandi.
Very, very happy Pongal celebration this year. Fantastic food, wonderful dresses and colours, community, families coming together, and I really hope that this year's celebration will be as enjoyable for everybody as it always is. Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, hasn't been able to join us this evening, but he's asked me to read out on his behalf a message of greeting for Pongal, and I will read that out now if I may. He says, I'd like to send my warm wishes to Tamils in the UK and around the world as you celebrate Thai Pongal, the Tamil Harvest Festival. It's a time to thank nature for the bounty it offers in the form of new crops, also a time for renewal, togetherness and community. And I want to mark this occasion by extending my gratitude for the huge contribution the Tamil community makes to Britain. This is also a time for us to remember the sacrifices made by the Tamil people for self-determination, peace and justice in Sri Lanka. I am deeply concerned about the ongoing economic crisis, persecution of the Tamil people, and the political instability in Sri Lanka. The Labour Party will continue to work with the Tamil community to call for justice and human rights. The British government has a clear responsibility to take the lead in ensuring that the Sri Lankan government can no longer delay in taking active steps to support justice and accountability. And as you prepare the Pongal and settle down to eat together, give thanks and celebrate, on behalf of everyone at the Labour Party, I wish you a very happy and peaceful Thai Pongal. Keir Starmer, Leader of the Labour Party. Let me just, if I may, add a few words of my own, because as Keir's message indicates, we can't, in the midst of the celebrations, we cannot forget the hardships being faced by the Tamil community in Sri Lanka at the moment. Economic hardships, the result of the catastrophic policies being followed by the Sri Lankan government, but political, really serious political difficulties as well. Disappearances, terrible things that are being done by the current Sri Lankan regime. And I think it is time for the British government to take action and to name and sanction individuals who we know are responsible for terrible things that are being done. And I noticed that the Canadian government has this month imposed sanctions on Sri Lankan state officials for human rights violations. I think it's time the British government followed suit. And, you know, without even the beginnings of a proper reconciliation process in Sri Lanka, I think it's clear we are going to need an independent international investigation about what happened at the end of the civil war in Sri Lanka. We've waited a long time for that. I don't think we can manage without it, and I renew my call for that investigation to be carried out. One last point I wanted to make. Some here will have known Professor Ronald Asher, who died just before Christmas at the age of 96, one of our foremost Tamil scholars in the UK. He went to Sri Lanka, he's a professor of linguistics, went to study Tamil in Sri Lanka in the 1950s. He wrote his first book about Tamil in 1971. It was a Tamil prose reader with R. Radhakrishnan. I met him many times. He came to my constituency often. The London Tamil Sangam building in my constituency was opened by him, and there's a plaque there that bears witness to that. He did that in 1991. He was a great man who made a very big contribution to the friendship between Britain on the one hand and all those who love the Tamil language on the other. And I'm glad we've got an opportunity this evening to remember him. And I want to wish everybody a very, very happy Pongal celebration this year. Thank you very much.
It's great to be with you to celebrate another Thai Pongal with the dancers and the music. And can I have a shout out for the food, for Ruby's, because I think this food was fantastic. Really great, thank you. At Thai Pongal we remember food and the harvest, and we celebrate and think of wonderful things that have happened. And it's right that we should celebrate British Tamils and the community work that you have done. And while that is a celebration, we should also remember the sacrifices that people have made from the Tamil community for our society. And on a serious note, I particularly remember at times like these, a friend of mine who was a consultant in the NHS, Dr. Anton Sebastian Pillai. He lived in Surbiton in my constituency and became a good friend of mine over many years. And when he retired from the NHS, he thought he'd completed his service working for our wonderful NHS. But during the pandemic, he decided to come out of retirement to help. And he unfortunately caught COVID-19 and died. And so I do remember the amazing sacrifices that so many healthcare workers from the British Tamil community have given. And some gave the ultimate. And I particularly think of Dr. Sebastian Pillai because he was not only an amazing servant for our NHS, he wrote a history, he was a historian. He wrote the Illustrated History of Sri Lanka, published in 2014, which explains the significant cultural historical role of Tamils on the centre of the island in the northeast of the island of Sri Lanka. So it is right we celebrate those amazing events. It's also right, though, that we think about what's happening in Sri Lanka today. Because while we are celebrating the harvest and some great things, there is a huge crisis in Sri Lanka. There's been a crisis, of course, with the shocking treatment of the Tamil people for decades now. But that crisis of the corrupt government of Rajapaksa and the two brothers and their ilk is now even being acknowledged by every group, every people on the island of Sri Lanka. And I think it's incumbent on us not just to reflect on that, but think about how we can help. So while the new President Wickramasinghe has reached out and wants to talk to Tamil people, the representatives from the TNA and others, it's quite understandable when I talk to Tamil friends here that they don't trust President Wickramasinghe. Not just what happened a decade and a half ago after the Norwegian talks, but also because of their experience over, frankly, decades of not being able to trust the word from the Colombo government. And that's why, as leader of the Liberal Democrats, I want to give my voice and say that there should be international arbitration over those talks. There should be international overseeing and international support for the Tamils in those talks if President Wickramasinghe is talking in good faith to, as he ought to do, not just give the justice and the rights to the Tamil people and self-determination, but he should also, if he was a true statesman at this crisis for Sri Lanka, be recognising the amazing role that the Tamil community have to play to bring an end to that economic crisis. So I hope the British government, other international governments and the Sri Lankan government will heed this call and help play a constructive part in these talks, because it is a moment that could be seized with the right leadership. But I also want to talk, finally, about the wider role of the international community with respect to putting pressure on the Sri Lankan government to, at long last, do the right thing, be held to account, and so on. And we've seen leadership from the Prime Minister and Foreign Secretary in Canada. The recent decision to impose sanctions on the former Prime Ministers Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Mahinda Rajapaksa are absolutely right. And the time for fine words has gone. They led a corrupt government. It was unfair to the Tamil people and unfair to everyone in Sri Lanka. And it's time we recognise that. And the UK played a role in putting pressure and followed the leadership of Canada on this critical issue. There is so much more that can be said, but there's much more music and dancing to be enjoyed. So let me bring my remarks to an end by first of all saying Nandri for inviting me and for this wonderful evening, but also Thai Pongul Valtukam.
Parliament, which is why it is now hosted here, and it gives me real pleasure, great pleasure, in wishing everyone here and members of the Tamil community here in the UK and across the world a very happy Thai Pongul. I am well aware of the cultural significance of this harvest festival to various communities across Southeast Asia. Thai Pongul reflects new beginnings, as we've been hearing and experiencing. Thai Pongul marks the end of harvest season and brings an opportunity for us all to reflect on the year, show our gratitude, and of course look forward to the many blessings that will come in the spring. It allows us to cherish the feeling of new beginnings and give us the courage to face what we may be met with in the new year, with vigour, with strength, and of course, with peace. As Tamil families get together up and down the country, the sweet Pongul-rich pudding dish will represent the universal message of love and of course that peace which unites all our communities. I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate and pay tribute to the tremendous contribution of the Tamil community in our great country. As we mark Tamil Heritage Month, we remember the fantastic role you play in all walks of life, ranging from, of course, the sciences, the arts, in business, and our public services. Strengths that you bring to the fabric of our society. As the former vaccines minister, I had first-hand experience of witnessing the outstanding contribution of the Tamil community in the NHS and, of course, on the front line. I don't think there is a hospital in the country without a story of the contribution of Tamil doctors, nurses and practitioners. It was phenomenal and demonstrated what it means to be British. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for vaccinating and saving the country. So to conclude, I wish everyone a happy Tai Pongal and an auspicious year ahead. Thank you very much indeed.
As it was when people were first celebrating Pongal all those hundreds of years ago, and I would like to join with everyone in thanking everyone in the agriculture sector who play their part in bringing food to our tables. But it is also, as the Prime Minister said in his inspirational message, a great time of the year to celebrate the amazing contribution of the British Tamil community to our society, our economy, our culture. And like Rishi, I want to single out all those wonderful NHS doctors and nurses from the Tamil community that keep our NHS going and of course did such heroic work during the pandemic. And I could never address a Pongal gathering without a brief reflection on the situation in Sri Lanka. I know that how crucial it is that we secure the justice for the Tamil people that they've been denied for so long. That we see real accountability for those terrible crimes that were committed during the Civil War. And I'm sure all my MP colleagues who are here today to support you, will continue in our campaign to secure that justice for Tamils in Sri Lanka. But on a very happy day, I want to once again to give you my warmest wishes for a happy Pongal, and I'm delighted, it is my great honour to introduce the Right Honourable Nadine Zahawi, Chairman of the Conservative Party, who is going to address you.